Hey guys, Thomas Sulu Jr. here, aka Mustache Tom, here to review the animated movie Leap, which actually came out last year in France, known as Ballerina, but was now put here known as Leap. So, in this animated movie, we follow this young girl named Felice, who's an orphan, along with a young boy. I believe his name is Victor. And the two of them both have their set out dreams. Felice's dream is to become a ballet dancer, and Victor's dream is to become a, a builder of sorts. So the two of them are orphaned in this little secluded area house that's heavily secured, and the two of them wish to escape, and their first attempt is in vain, but with their no give up attitude, the two of them end up in a different part of Paris where they see this, or the main character, finds this place where ballet is taught, and the inventor kid, Victor, ends up elsewhere. So she fakes her name for one of the other students, and that is how she's able to initially get in. And she's a bit clumsy, but she does seem to have a little like a bit of a wild style when it comes to dancing, but when it comes to ballet, she's not as graceful quite yet. And this instructor of hers is slowly kicking out students one by one, looking for the absolute best student within the group. So he keeps going after her, saying how she will never uh, be able to pursue this. And eventually, the liar revealed whole part of the plot comes forth, but by this point she's already found a teacher in an injured woman who was previously a dancer of this group. So this woman takes her in, teaches her the ways of ballet through sort of like a uh, what's the way I can describe it? Sort of like what's that movie called? Can't remember right now. It's like a martial arts movie. Um, Karate Kid, that's what it is. Very Karate Kid style way of teaching, of doing all these methods that don't seem to uh, directly correlate up until a certain point, and then uh, Felice catches on to that eventually, and then their training continues, and she's able to slowly but surely knock out the other competitors and continue to show that she's the best. Even after the secret is revealed, she's able to maintain her status within staying in this dance troupe, I guess you can call it. I don't know. But through that, she meets this other slightly older man who's a ballet dancer as well, and they have this whole crush thing where she likes this ballet guy and Victor likes her. So we have this bizarre love triangle. It's cliched, it's almost completely unnecessary for the film, but it's there, and it kind of takes away from all this stuff that's going on. Uh, and as far as talking about Victor is concerned in his role, is that he's sort of this clumsy kid who tries to invent stuff, but he keeps like getting himself hurt, or he keeps like misstepping and then flying over stuff and all of that nature. And that's his role throughout the majority of this movie. Down to the point where I could say he's almost completely unnecessary to the film until the end of the film, which is a bit sad that his role is a bit misguided throughout. As I personally feel like there was very little growth from him being this sort of clumsy individual to him rescuing her from this impending doom, where she's eventually running from the main her main competitor's mother, who's like chasing her because she like wants to kill her or something. Because whatever. Um, but she's able to escape via him being able to build his little wing contraption, and as you can see through the poster, so this is while the that tower is being built, as you can see also in the on the right there. So they end up like landing, and then they have their little moment, and like afterwards, like there was this whole moment of like she was angry with him, and then he became angry with her, and then like she ended up having to apologize first, and then or like she like forgave him for being stupid for doing the whole uh love quarrel thing with the other guy because they ended up like fighting on some building. And when I say fighting, I mean like more like slap hitting each other with their hands like this. And they were both doing that, by the way. Like I said, completely unnecessary. uh as far as the whole ballet portion itself, it's graceful enough, it's animated well enough. Um, and it does have a bit of an unrealistic sense to it where like there's this part where there's this huge staircase, and I mean huge. I don't think a person can jump down that far realistically, even if they were doing ballet, without being injured at all. But her and her competitor, uh young girl, were like competing, and they were like dancing through the various rooms, and then they end up outside where everyone's watching them, and then they end up where that staircase is, and then uh, the competitor girl, I forget her what her name was completely, but she ends up stopping, and then Felice ends up jumping all the way down and doing like the that split move. I forget what the ballet moves are actually called, but I think it's like a pirouette or something. I don't know, some sort of move like that. The split in the air move, I guess, for simplicity's sake. Anyways, there are moments like that, and her doing that ends up having her win this sort of competition that was going on between them, where there was like this truce, and how they wouldn't interfere with each other, and how they would compete to see who would dance in this ultimate sort of thing to do this ballet performance with another performer who was highly recognized. And then, of course, Felice won, and of course, Felice got to perform the actual. I believe they were doing like the Nutcracker. I could be mistaken on that part, but they did some sort of performance together, and of course the crowd was there. Victor was sort of in the back, and then he got his little kiss moment at the end, near the end, I believe, if I remember correctly. But this movie is okay. Um, like I said, it has its weird quirks. Like, for example, there's this guy who was one of their caretakers back in the orphanage, where like he's also angry about like, oh, you need to stay here, and whatever. And when Felice gets to her lowest moment in the film, he suddenly transitions into this guy who's like, oh, she gave up on her dreams. I gotta help her. And it comes completely out of nowhere. And the span of time between him doing, his grumpy thing, and then him helping her is like, it felt like completely out of nowhere. It felt like a completely odd 180 that just came out of completely nowhere to serve her to get back to this city, because she ended up back at the orphanage at some point. So there was that. There were a few other moments. Like I said, the love triangle thing was kind of unnecessary. The other ballet character doesn't really add much to the actual story of this, other than being a potential love interest for the main character. Uh, Other than that, most of the comedy is like more, of course, more geared toward Victor, and it's more physical, like slapstick sort of attempt at comedy. And it gets to the point where it's just like, come on, give the guy a break. It's not even funny. It's just like, give the guy a break or something. And then, like I said, even his transition of being able to create that contraption and being able to fly, seems a bit rushed as well. It seems like that is a very common thing in this movie of the secondary characters. Yes, I'll refer to Victor as a secondary character because of how long he's in the movie in comparison to Felice. These characters have their moments and then they completely transition into something else. I would say the person who had the best treatment besides Felice was the mentor. She got essentially the second most amount of attention in this film, being injured, wanting to, at first not wanting to let in the girl, let in Felice, I should say, and then eventually coming around and saying, "All right, I'll let you in, but whatever." And then eventually seeing what she was capable of, the mentor like opened up, and then there was like the whole flip side where like Felice is like, "I don't need you anymore," and then she's like, "Oh, but no, I kind of," and then I guess I call her the mother type character was like, "Oh, now I really miss her." So her transitions are a bit more often, but I guess they are a little. It feels a little bit more dynamic, I'll say. It's still a bit quick, but at least it's a bit more dynamic. Probably actually even more dynamic than Felice. I mean, Felice only has that one moment of weakness, and then she sort of just is able to get out of that because of someone else. Um, so, she's a happy go lucky girl and has that one moment of, oh no. And yeah, so other than that, it's an okay movie. Yeah, it has its flaws. I'd give it a 6 out of 10. I think that's a pretty generous score, all things considered. Um, I'm pretty sure this is for a more younger audience, from what's in the movie. But the one thing I will say, as far as outside of the movie itself, it is refreshing to see something that's not Disney related or Pixar related or animated Sony related. Like this is completely out of from another country, as I said, out of France. So it is at least that much is interesting to see come out from somewhere else, see it come here, and hopefully it did well or does well depending on when this review is up. I'm pretty sure this movie will be out by a few days by the time this comes up. So with that, again, that's 6 out of 10. It was okay. So definitely check it out. And that is my review of the movie Leap or Ballerina. So if you enjoyed this review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, everyone, bye!